Hello and thank you for joining the Monday edition of Journalists Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozugbakun. Today on the program, Lagos State considers cautious easing of COVID-19 lockdown, arrests 2,310 violators and impound 2,092 vehicles over violations. And later on the show, President Buhari orders military operations to sweep bandits, kidnappers out of Katsina State as Nigerian Air Force deploys special forces to Nasarawa State. I'll be hanging out with Babajide, Kolade-Otitoju and Yomi, Owope. So if you are ready, let the hangout start now. Before joining us again, after much public debates, the Lagos State government is considering lifting the ban on churches, mosques, hotels, and on the need for total reopening of the economy. Governor Babajide, who said the decision would not be taken in a hurry, stated that officials will be visiting restaurants, companies, and religious houses to assess their level of readiness. However, the Lagos State Police Command says it arrested 2,310 violators and impounded 2,092 vehicles for various breaches during the last lockdown in the state. Out of the figure, 2,185 persons were charged to court and punished. Meanwhile, the war against breach of containment measures is intensifying in Abuja. The FCTA task force on COVID-19 arrested a truck conveying 27 people to Kogi, Edo, and from Zamfara. Let's share this video with you.
From Zaria.
Zaria. Which company truck did you drive? Dangote truck. From which area you follow take the truck?
I load from Kano.
Who constantly you carry load to come back? That one on your own Roger.
Yes,
that one on your what you carry on your Roger. Now as you Roger now carry onions, carry your own Roger. Why you can't carry person join? Where they carry they go? Where no explain where you they carry them they go. Lokoja, one, Kaba Junction. Okay, after Okene where? How many Bini they here? We don't know what they Masu Bini. There, one Bini. Okay, three Bini. Three Bini. Okene, Akwe Okene Nako, Akwe Lokoja, Akwe Kaba Junction. Very sadly here. A few days ago, we got some Dangote truck. One of them escaped. The other one was turned back. And today again, they got another, you could see it here, another Dangote truck here that is also coming from Zaria, carrying 27 persons from Zaria to part of Kogi State, to also some of them will be stopping at Lokoja, Okene, and the other three of them are supposed to stop at Benin City, Edo State. That's what the driver was carrying from Zaria through all this area in contravention with the presidential order on the ban on interstate movement here. We are not relenting, we are doing that here, but sadly we will be appealing to the management of Dangote firm to please call its own drivers to order. We are getting too many of them using those sensitive trucks to carry person, which is not good. This particular driver hid over 25 persons within onions and some bags of rice and cover them with tarpaulin. I don't know how they managed to breach here. Unlike what we have been seeing in past, where we have been turning back the trucks, now the magistrate in his wisdom said the only way we can deter truck drivers from doing what they are doing, gross illegality, is to be impounding their truck forthwith while we look for how to take people back to their state. So this particular truck will be impounded.
This is a serious one. Yes. You mean in spite of the interstate lockdown that we still had across the country, people still move from state to state. Somebody said it actually took Lagos to Owerri last Wednesday. So traveled night bus. They still these activities, in spite of the ban and the restriction, you still have them going on?
Yes, our people are difficult. I've said that before. We are quick to criticize government, but some of us make life difficult for the people in power. The way we should push government to do its best is by alerting the government to its responsibilities, to the things that it should do that it is not currently doing for the citizenry. But where you decide to flout a directive put in place to enhance the safety of lives, then you are an enemy of the state. It is clear that you are an enemy of the state, because the spread of this virus has been helped massively by this interstate commuting that we are seeing. Across the world, in places where you have the lockdown in place, people are not permitted to move around. In fact, when the Italians decided on phased easing of the lockdown, movement between regions was not part of the measures put in place to ease the lockdown. You can still move within your own state, but they said, no, within regions you can't move. So, but our people continue to move around. Yes, the president said people transporting food are exempted from the lockdown. People transporting fertilizer, and people transporting petroleum products. He did all of that to ease the pain that naturally would have come with the lockdown, so that we do not starve during this lockdown. But we have a situation in which people are hiding inside sacks of beans. And you ask yourself, how do they manage to travel hours hiding inside sacks of beans?
How much will you pay the driver? To get that kind of...
People are hiding inside 50-foot containers, and the container will be short. So how do they breathe? How do they even breathe? Look at what Nigerians are putting themselves through just to move from one state to another. We saw the video of the policemen that we praised the other day, who turned them back at 3 a.m. using a vehicle on which was written press. Believing that once they put the right press on the vehicle, the police will look away. But they were turned back. That there is a ban on interstate commuting. Therefore, go back to where you are coming from. I'm sure they will not go back because they were coming all the way from the north. So they will wait for maybe another set of policemen to be to replace those ones who will probably be pliable, will take some money, and then allow them to complete the journey. So this is the thing. No matter how we criticize the security agencies, yes, they've let us down massively during this period, because a lot of them, just because they want to make money, they are frustrating the lockdown directive of the president. The president himself came out to say, look, the security agencies are frustrating the lockdown. But our people, it takes two to tango. Our people are making it a lot easier for these security operatives to get away with blue murder. You don't have to bribe anyone. Sit in your house. If they say don't move, why don't you just stay where you are? Why are we so different to people in other lands? Is this how it is in even some of the African countries? Is this how people do things? We are just a different people.
From the pressure people have been piling on government, and government knowing that they can't afford to reach out to all Nigerians in terms of palliative and everything, so might have to leave them to go and start their businesses in phases. That's what gave room to this, what we have. From what we gathered before we entered the studio now, we're told that the federal government is saying that the status quo should be maintained in the next 2 weeks. That's the 8 p.m. to
Yes.
6 a.m. curfew. From what you can see so far, now I'm worried. Nigeria records marked an increase case of in 338 as of yesterday. Now the total is now 5,959, almost 6,000.
The numbers are growing. Of course, part of the reason why the numbers
from
are growing,
March to May.
Yes, part of the reason why the numbers are growing is, thankfully, gradually, we're seeing an increase in testing across the country. So that, of course, will, obviously show that the numbers will increase. But it also demonstrates that the disease is still spreading and that people need to adhere to what the federal government has said and also the health agencies as well, and not let their guard down. What the federal government is doing now by continuing the curfew for another 2 weeks, I think that's the right thing to do. And then easing businesses back into shape for maybe another in phases for maybe another few weeks. That also will help a lot. But Nigerians really need to adhere to the laws and ensure that they're not moving from state to state. And of course, the governor of Lagos State has also said that, look, he's going to be working very closely with the governor of Ogun State to ensure that the commuting of individuals and persons between states is stopped or at least reduced, so that we have this easing and it's effective. The security agencies, obviously, we're seeing over the last 1 week or so, they're becoming more efficient and more effective in stopping violators. And I hope that this continues, over the next few weeks, so that we can stem the disease and at least arrest it at the point where, get to the point where we can begin to see a reduction in the number of daily cases.
A part of what the governor of Lagos State, part of what they're looking at is, people that have been agitating schools, especially churches. People in the last 6-7 weeks have not been able to go to the church to worship, and the Muslim fast is going on and everything. So the government of Lagos State is saying that they want to work out modality to work with these people to see how they're going to try as much as possible decongest the normal church service that we hold, that we have a lot of people around. Now, will something like that, with that kind of arrangement, work in Lagos? If I was holding 2 services before, I can hold 4-5 services now, or for now, we should just continue with our online church?
Well, if I were the governor, I won't let churches or mosques open at this time. And what is happening, I will take my cue from what is happening in other lands. We are not the most religious in the world, though we pretend to be the most religious people in the world. We see that in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, these countries are far more religious than us, and they have a tremendous Muslim population that you can't even compare to ours. Even India has a huge Muslim population. But the truth is, if those countries are not in a hurry to throw the gates open for churches to open, for mosques to open, we should also not be in a hurry to do that. If you look at what happened to the Ghanaians, they recorded 30% spike in new cases the moment they eased the lockdown. They've done well with testing. They've done tremendously well. They're second best in Africa with testing. But the moment they eased the lockdown, they experienced a spike. We have eased the lockdown. We just have to take our time. Let's do it in phases. I don't see any reason to say, okay, let everybody go back to work. No, we have to do it on a case-by-case basis. Where are we going next? Are we going to allow hotels to open now? What are the measures that we will insist that they put in place? Are we going to churches? Because I know that it's going to be difficult to enforce social distancing in churches. They will not even obey. we said it that drivers would not obey. When they were reeling out, when the Lagos State government officials were reeling out a long list of what the drivers need to abide by, what must be present at motor parks, this and that. We know that at the end of the day, it amounted to empty gas because those guys simply refused to comply. And everyone is just behaving like, look, this thing does not exist. We are seeing people on motorbikes, 2-3 persons on motorbikes in a season of coronavirus, which is rampant spread.
In fact, we have motorbikes everywhere in Lagos.
They are
running
carrying,
riots everywhere in Lagos.
2 persons.
Yes,
two persons. In some
in
cases,
spite of
you
the
will
prescription.
even in some cases you see a man and a woman. The man will sit at the back. It's not your girlfriend though. You sit at the back, sitting so close, so tightly behind that woman, just the way it used to happen. You know. So in a season of rapid spread of this disease, I would expect that we will just calm down. The only thing that made me happy about the governor's statement is that he said they will not do it in a hurry. So I expect him to live up to his word, to not do it in a hurry. People will push you, do it, but if this thing becomes unbearable, they are the same people who will come and say, see, we told you that Sanwo-Olu will fail. Can you see now? Sanwo-Olu can't even handle this, and they will start comparing you to those who are there before you. So a governor or a leader must be ready to take the big decisions. You take the big decisions not caring about how people feel. In the fullness of time, people will see the value in that decision that you have taken. They may not, on the spur of the moment, they may not appreciate it. But later on, they will see that you did it in the interest of everyone. We just have to protect our people. We need to protect our people. The decisions will be difficult. I quoted what El-Rufai said the other day. He said, look, we will take whatever measures that we need to take, but at the end, we will apologize to our people. Yes, because people can't live their normal lives, but you are doing it for them, for just to save their lives. You know. So this is the thing. If we need to apologize to people later on, let us do it. But let's do what has to be done now.
I mean, when you look at the ease of lockdown, it has been extended by another 2 weeks.
Yes.
Now, from the 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. thing, how effective do you think it was in the last 2 weeks?
Well, in the last 2 weeks, because I noticed sometimes when I'm leaving the office, it's about that time, maybe about 7:38. It's been largely effective. It was effective in the first 1 week, but then it now, as usual, with the way things are in Nigeria, it began to relax a little bit, where you would see a long line of cars. You don't know where they're going at 8 p.m., but you will see a long line of cars trying to get past the checkpoints, and it's always quite difficult for police to handle that. Okay. Another thing is for many of our roads in Lagos, people coming back home from work, sometimes at 8 p.m. is completely unwalkable. When you go to places like Surulere, when you go to places like Third Mainland Bridge, people coming back from work by 7:30, Third Mainland Bridge is still blocked. There's still a lot of traffic. I think they're advising
people to close earlier.
Yes, so they have advised people to close at 3 p.m., but I still don't know why people are on the road at that time, and the traffic is much. So, I mean, how many cars can the police arrest at that point in time when you have 500 or to 1,000 cars in traffic? So that also is a big problem. But I know that they've tried to enforce it's better in the early hours, but more difficult, much more difficult at night, because at 9 p.m. you still see cars trying to make their way home.
Okay, we'll take the secretary to at the SSG now. That's Mr. Boss Mustafa talking about the ease of the lockdown extended by 2 weeks.
In spite of the modest progress made, Nigeria is not yet ready for full opening of the economy, and tough decisions have to be taken for the good of the greater majority. Any relaxation would only portend grave danger for our population. Advisedly, the current phase of eased restriction will be maintained for another 2 weeks, during which stricter enforcement and persuasion measures will be pursued. The 2 weeks extension of phase 1 of the eased restriction is also to enable other segments of the economy prepare adequately for compliance with the guidelines, preparatory to reopening in the coming weeks.
As the chairman said, we have completed the first phase of the eased lockdown as directed by Mr. President. We are extending, so all the guidelines that we have stated in relation to phase 1 continue. We have analyzed the first phase. There will be minor changes that will happen, but these changes will not be significantly altered in terms of what we expect over the next 2 weeks, apart from the issue of enforcement.
That we're not expecting to hear from Mr. President again. That's what was said earlier. So this represents that's the federal government, the ease of lockdown extended by 2 weeks. That would mean the status quo remains. Yeah. That's the 8 p.m. to 6 p.m. I think
that's why the speech was not necessary, because nothing has changed. There's nothing new that the president, if he was to take some fundamentally...
If we are going back to full lockdown?
Yes, because some thought it would happen. Now, no fundamental change to the status quo. So
it doesn't require Mr. President to come and...
so we mandated them to just...
do that on his behalf. Yeah. Now, so Babajide, when you look at, we're still talking about churches, religious organizations, pastors disown congregation to avoid persecution over COVID-19. And it's, I think some churches are in a desperate mood. They just have to show up. And yesterday, going through the internet, it's possible for you to attend 4 or 5 online services, virtual, and everything. And those are the ones that believe in the online things and they do it online. But it seems this still coming together as a congregation is still a big deal for some pastors to still put together and to hold the regular Sunday service.
Yes, because they think that it is impossible for the task force to find out where all of those infractions are happening. You can imagine the video that I saw from Abuja. And this man was disowning the congregation. He was saying, no, he does not know that. And the guy said, well, if we found these people here, they have a leader. Who is the leader? Who is the pastor?
Are you their pastor?
Who is the pastor? Who is their leader? And he kept saying, no, he did not tell anybody to come. And there was another pastor who arranged a Thanksgiving for a retired army officer. So because a retired army officer had his birthday, you needed to break the law of the land to do a Thanksgiving for him. There are many people out there who are celebrating birthdays. Big-time socialites, the Babajide of this world. Mayor Akinpelu.
That's we're here to fix a date for the Owope Papa.
They both
clock on hold.
They both clock 60.
60.
But they can't celebrate in the open.
And trust Lord Mayor.
We
must always...
if you cannot celebrate, you can't celebrate. He has held back because he will not break the law of the land. There are many people like that. In fact, there was a particularly painful case of a family. They were supposed to have the marriage on Saturday. They had done the previous day. They had to make the cancellation on the morning of Saturday. So you can imagine all that they will have spent, those who came in from different parts of the world to be part of it. But they had to cancel because the thing came shortly after the announcement of the lockdown. There's nothing you can do about it. It's part of the sacrifices that we have to make. And if by God's grace, we defeat the pandemic before the end of the year, you can still have your party.
Will just come together.
You can still have your party. So, but breaking the law of the land, you know, they say, no, don't hold church services. You are hiding to hold it. You are now disowning the congregation because you don't want to be brought before the mobile court. I mean, how do you face your maker in the end? If you can lie openly that this and yes, you have not set the right example. And if that pastor is watching me, this is my message to him. You've not set the right example. If you can lie openly that those people do not belong to you,
just to avoid,
because you knew you will be taken before a judge, to avoid it. Why not just? I mean, we can do the church. The human beings constitute the church. It's not the building. If this is simply about saving souls, about depopulating the kingdom of darkness, we should not go to the extent that we are going, because people now see this as purely mercantilism. That's the way people say, oh, it's the money they're after. We should learn to obey rules in our country, and it's not limited to churches alone. Many times, even Jumar services have been disrupted. People still hold public prayers in their neighborhoods, despite persistent warning.
All right. We'll take this breather to pay these bills. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalists Hangout. Stay with us. It's Journalists Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental here in Lagos, Nigeria. Yomi, now, the federal government actually locked down our airspace, I think, in the last 2 months or so, and they've not indicated any readiness to open it for commercial activities, apart from those people that they are bringing back, Nigerians that are stocked in Canada, stocked in the United States, stocked in Dubai.
Even Asia and some other places.
But the United Kingdom-based airline actually flew in a commercial airline in the guise of, you know, people that they are dropping this thing, flew it to Nigeria, and now the airline is going to be, the plane is going to be confiscated by the federal government now.
It's the strangest piece of news. Initially, they said it was supposed to be a humanitarian flight, so which was what those are the approvals that are given. So humanitarian flights, or flights that are bringing back medical equipment and things like that, either from China or any other location, and then specifically humanitarian flights for evacuation of Nigerians abroad. But now you have this airline that flew to Nigeria under the guise of a humanitarian flight, and then continued an economic or a different kind of commercial operation, even within the country. So that is where
what effort?
It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I'm not even sure that you can do this in any other country.
I thought it was we Nigerians that, so, you know, I don't know that. Look, even the people from the so-called civilized,
they will work with Nigerians. Some Nigerians will tell them, no, it's possible. It's possible. Don't worry, it's possible. We can find a way around it. This is the way we are. Yes, don't worry, we'll sort it out.
It's the strangest thing. And of course, by the time the fan moved in and shut them down and said that they've impounded the plane and they're going to investigate, it's a good thing. But then you wonder, how did it even get to this point where a plane would be able to take that kind of a risk? The audacity of coming into another country.
And I'm sure there have been other flights.
From a separate country. Yes, obviously.
I'm sure there had been other flights.
Probably even by the same airline that came and probably has done 1 or 2 trips and just feels that, okay, we can quickly do another one. And I've been seeing, you know, there are a number of pictures I've also seen with people flying private jets within the country.
Yes.
And that's been ongoing.
Yes.
And those people have been receiving, within Nigeria, and those people have been receiving clearance from Lagos to Abuja, and other locations within Nigeria, private jets, and that is still ongoing. People are moving around freely.
It's a big problem that we can't enforce directives in our country. The reason for this is that a lot of our people who are in position to enforce these laws, to put their foot down that no, this will not happen, they are compromised. You see, the feeling that the white man has is that every Nigerian has a price. That's why when they see the Nigerian who is stubborn, who is resolute, who will not agree to be bribed, they will hate him. They say, see the idiot, he's an hypocrite. Don't mind him. Don't mind him. They'll say, it's a lie. Oh. He takes money. Oh. He's just pretending. Oh. It's a lie. Oh.
They'll look for how to explain him.
Yes. If you read so many of the things that they've written about someone like Nuhu Ribadu, for example, you know, it's just, if you are not someone who knows him, you are bound to believe some of those accounts that is a lie. Nuhu Ribadu used agents to buy houses here and there. Things that they cannot prove. They believe that everyone, every Nigerian has a price. So they will attempt things that they know they dare not try in their own countries. They will attempt it in Nigeria, believing that they will get away with it. How did those Chinese get into our country, Ayo? And we were told that, oh, they were coming to help us build capacity for testing and all that. Yeah. And when people began to ask the minister himself,
I don't know about it.
It was tongue-tied. So we were conned to believe that they were coming to help us boost capacity for testing, but they are construction workers at this time. It's part of it's part of the lax in the enforcement of our laws, of the directives that come down from the top. People heads will begin to roll. There's nothing the president will lose if he says, okay, because somebody deceived me, and this happened. Now, I'm taking you off that position that you're occupying. When we make a habit of making examples out of Nigerians who are guilty of aberrant behavior, no matter how highly placed they are, this nonsense will stop. This nonsense will stop.
I mean, I don't know. The people, our citizens that are being evacuated, I gather that they are paying money. Like the ones that came from America, they paid as much as $1,500.
Of course, I even saw a letter from one of the embassies in one of the Asian countries.
So, yep. Now I've seen a situation by the United States.
Did you see that of the one from about the people who went to India? That they were told that this is the amount they will pay, and that even the hotel.
Yes, to be quarantined after.
And a lot of them went to India on health grants. Some of them already close to their debts. So to bring them the kind of money that is being asked of them is huge.
The money they want to use to do.
One of the letters I saw had just for the hotel for the quarantine was 269,000 at 15,000 naira per night, and then plus feeding and other things for 2 weeks. And you must confirm that you have paid that amount before you are lifted.
Yeah.
And that's apart from the
what's the standard? What the standard?
We need
the
to
other countries.
ask our sister these things.
Okay.
So that's my. I think that we need to ask our sister, because some people have said some of those things are not true. You understand?
Okay.
That some of those letters are meant to embarrass the Diaspora Commission.
Okay.
So.
Honorable Abike,
yes, okay. Let's ask our sister what is going on. Yes. Because this thing, we can't keep quiet about this thing, this kind of letters flying around.
Yeah. And Nigerians cannot, if the federal government is doing the country, as citizens, a kind of favor, Nigerians cannot be paying as much as.
After all, an individual went to airlift people from South Africa. For free.
For free.
A trip. For free. Just a trip, one-leg trip.
So it's I think a lot of the Nigerians that are abroad right now are actually very stranded. They have been there. So some of them went for maybe 2-week holiday. You've been there for 2 months. You've been spending your own money. So now, even to go back home,
the visa will even
you are illegalist.
So you're there. You can't eat, and then you can't even leave to go back home. So it's a big problem. So I think this is a point where maybe a statement needs to be issued to be very clear about what needs to be done.
He said there are about 4,000 Nigerians
outside
wishing to come home.
Wishing to come home. I think some of them are even trapped in Canada too, right now as we're talking.
Canada, the United States, some Asian countries, even in Europe as well. So we have quite a number of Nigerians across board.
Okay. We'll keep tab on that. Now, armed bandits are running riots again in Nigeria's northwest state of Katsina. So all hands must be on deck to flush them out. As such, President Muhammadu Buhari has authorized commencement of a major military operation to sweep bandits and kidnappers out of Katsina State. According to a statement by the presidential spokesman, Garba Shehu, the president said a major proactive operation by special forces is in progress for renewed strikes against camps of the bandits. But in Nasarawa State, action has already begun following deployment of additional special forces to Lafia to boost security in the north-central states. This came after deployment of Mi-35 helicopter gunship to conduct operations in that area. Babajide, this is quite unfortunate that Katsina again, not even Zamfara, where they started from. You know, that thing started in Zamfara, from Zamfara, moved into Katsina, from Katsina, going to Kaduna, something like that. But it's like, I read something this morning that, I don't know, maybe that's exaggerated. Say 12 local governments, you know, out of the local governments in Katsina State are suffering from the hands of these bandits. And I pity Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari because it looks helpless. He has done everything possible to bring this thing, you know, he has gone to, you know, meet these bandits, gone to negotiate with them, but...
Even went to Niger Republic.
Niger?
Yeah. To have a meeting with the defense chiefs there. Because a lot of these bandits come in from Niger Republic. And some bandits from Nigeria to go to operate in Niger Republic. So he went there with the desire of achieving maybe criminal swap. I won't say prisoner now, or maybe prisoner swap is the word. People who come in from Nigeria to rob in their country will be arrested, sent back here for prosecution. In some cases too, cattle that get rustled from Nigeria and taken to Niger Republic, they can be returned to Katsina. So that was the sort of agreement that he tried to have. He's done so much. He provided logistic support to the security agencies. He set up the cattle rustling committee. He created the amnesty program. You know, he's done his best to try and stop these killings. He cannot watch. Yes, because
he doesn't control the army. He doesn't control.
Here is a man who rose from very humble beginnings, son of a milk seller. You can't say Masari is one of the children of the rich, product of a rich family. He came from a poor family. His own mom was a milk seller, the itinerant milk seller that you see who sell furade. So he knows that
very humble. Yes,
he knows that it makes sense to connect with the people and try to help solve their problems. But as a governor, you are limited. It's because you don't control the armed forces. And it's the job of the armed forces to secure the territorial integrity of our country, including the security of states. Many times you have to call Abuja to say, look, please come and help. And when I read that, Garba Shehu or someone else is saying that the president has ordered that they should move in and bomb these bandits. We are giving them intelligence report because before you start your bombing, they will flee. It happened even in Zamfara. Before the Air Force thought they were bombing bandits camps. When they now assessed, they now did what we call post-operation assessment. They saw that there was no dead body. Because they are not fools.
Those ones got intelligence ahead
They
of
read
time.
newspapers. We are talking about an operation that you want to do. Oh, we are going to kill Shekau today. You know, we are moving special forces to go after Shekau. Will he stay there and wait for you when he's not a fool? So this is the thing. If we want to conduct a comprehensive military operation, let us go for it. Let's not announce it to these people. I still believe that the bulk of the killings are within the 8 local governments. And those 8 local governments are, they have something in common, it's the Rugu Forest. That Rugu Forest stretches all the way to Central African Republic. So they know they have an extensive area to play with. You are chasing them in Jibia, they can end up in Dandume. You are chasing them away from Dandume, they can end up in Sabwa. From Sabwa, they can go to Faskari. From Faskari, they can go to Damusa. Because it's such a huge place. I went there, I saw the forest. And we can't say we don't know the bandits then. Even me, I know where the bandits are staying.
Some people that...
Because I went to interview them. I went to interview the bandits. So if I know where their home is, how come we have not been able to take them out? What does it take to take out these bastards who are killing our people like flies? The president's home state, people are being killed in this manner. The president doesn't even need to tell the chief of army staff or anybody. You should know that you owe that Nigerians that obligation to go and finish these people. But Nigerians now, you know what Nigerians do? They go to hide in Nigeria Republic. Many Nigerians do, they trade inside Katsina, but they already have houses built inside Nigeria Republic.
They'll go there
they go and sleep there. Because they know bandits usually like to come at night. 300 bandits on motorbike. Each of them carrying AK-47 or AK-49. They pick sometimes 3 passengers on a bike.
And nobody will
How
notice
do you overwhelm them? You see, the thing, a lot of those places.
From a long distance.
If you see the poor state of the road in some of those places.
Yeah, like the one we showed
Before you respond, they kill so many people. And sometimes, too, they are waiting for you. They know you are coming. So they overwhelm you. That's the thing. They overwhelm you because they are lying in wait.
I mean, how can we address this? If it's not Boko Haram in the northeast, we're talking about insecurity, banditry in Katsina now.
In Katsina, I mean, when I saw the reports, over the weekend that the residents of GBL local government,
they protested
and blocked the highway. That they cannot take this.
That's the place I went to that time.
GBL, and then even one of the traditional heads there, the Serkin Ruma, was saying that, look, we would prefer to die of coronavirus than to be killed by bandits. Because they were just like sitting dogs. There's a curfew in the state. People cannot move around to safeguard their own lives. And now bandits are then coming to kill them in their own homes. And it's appalling. You know, it's the kind of thing that makes you very sad because these people are actually very, very helpless. You can see women and children among them, a lot of the killed. A lot of times you see all of that happening. I think one of the issues that we need to address is the issue of this counter-insurgency that we do, especially in Nigeria where there's an attack and then suddenly the Air Force is deployed to go and do some aerial bombings and then everything goes quiet again. We need to start doing counterinsurgency where the civilians on the ground are also involved in whatever operations are going on. Because a lot of these bandits, from what we have heard, some of them get their information from among the people in that area. Some of them hide in areas where the people who live in such locations are aware of where they are. But out of fear for their own lives, they are unable to give information. But when you involve civilians in some of these operations, then you are able to be more effective. Because it beats the imagination. It's hard to understand how people that we call bandits, who ride on bikes and carry some of them homemade weapons and cutlasses and AK-47s, are able to do asymmetrical warfare and escape the Nigerian armed forces. It just bogs the mind. It's hard to imagine. It's very difficult.
Do you know what's happening in Lafia, Nasarawa State?
Oh, the Air Force Special Forces have been sent there. It will be the launching pad for their operations in the North Central. Well, we're talking about Katsina. bandits are killing probably as many people as they are killing in Katsina in Niger State. In Rafi local government, Shiroro, they are killing people like flies. In Niger State.
Surprising.
Yeah. Ask anybody who's from Niger. They are killing, it's been like that for months. The other day, they killed about 8 Nigerian soldiers. These bandits in Niger State. And I've not seen any retribution. Because if you kill that number of American soldiers,
there'll be backlash.
But it happened. It happened. So you expect that by now, they would go and flatten the area. Because people know their camps now. They know where these guys are. They are human beings like us. They live in the bush. And I look at the Air Force, the Alpha jets. Their home is in Kainji. That's where the Alpha jet of the Air Force is based. I don't know why we can't conduct operations, because it's not far. We can't conduct operations. Let some platforms of the Air Force move from that Kainji location, and then go and deal with these bandits in Niger
We're told
State.
that Mi-35 helicopter was deployed
For the
Niger operation.
Yeah, but I'm even saying that is from, look at the distance from Nasarawa to that place. I'm saying Kainji, that is extremely close to where they are killing people in Niger State. And I'm saying if we have Kainji as the home of the Alpha jet, why can't they constantly be bombing those people? Or is it that there has not been any report that this is what these people are doing? Killing our people in Niger State just the way they like.
I mean, this highlights what has been happening. You know, COVID-19 actually took the shine from these stories, but the bottom line is that they're still killing people.
And it's happening. You know, so from Nasarawa, you even have spillovers into Benue, southern Kaduna. Throughout last week, we're hearing about bandits and clashes in southern Kaduna. Benue is another core area. We had some militias were killed last week. Even the head of a militia was caught and killed. So we have many states that are now, you know, witnessing all manners of violence. A lot of states. So you have up to 4 or 5 states, and this is not even talking about Boko Haram in the northeast. So a lot of security issues that we have to now grapple with the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's just making a lot of people just feel like, look, we have bigger problems than a pandemic. You can't keep us at home. Because it seems like if we stay at home, we die. If we go out, there's a risk of coronavirus. So it's a very big problem that I feel the government will need to step in, especially with regards to intelligence gathering on the ground. And you need the people on the ground for you to gather proper intelligence, to be able to say that, look, these are the bushes where these people are. And then also, when information is about an operation is about to begin, I don't think that it should be put in the public space. That's not where it should go. Because a lot of these bandits, when they hear about it, then they are then, of course, able to conduct their own operations after.
All these operations that we are talking about, before we get there, they are gone. They've relocated. That is it.
You have leakages in the system.
No, you are even announcing it. I've had cause in the past to criticize the army that you don't announce your operations. You want to impress us, Abi? Well, at the end of the day, the enemy will run away. Yes, you want to show us that you are fighting, that you are not folding your arms. But that's not the way to go about it. You are announcing a big operation is coming. Oh, we are going to this thing. That person will run away. It's not a fool. It's not a fool. He will run away. Then you get there, you go and bomb. You will not find anybody. You'll be wasting precious money, just bombing an empty space. I said it then, and even when we invaded Sambisa, I said we invaded an empty forest because we couldn't get. What did we do? They had fled the Camp Zairo before we got there.
We brought the Quran. We brought the flag.
What is the president going to do with the Quran? If he wants to read Quran, is it that of Shekau that he will be reading? He has his own now. So, but before we got there, Shekau had escaped. Yes, it was their headquarters for some time, but they knew we were coming. We made so much noise about the fact that we wanted to go there. So I don't expect to be reading about this thing. Oh, the president has said they should go there. Before, like, once you make that announcement, pressmen will want to know what you are doing, but you should know what to not give out, because it will compromise the entire operation. Before you get there, the horse will have bolted from the stable.
I mean, do you think we've overstretched our security guys with different operations across the country?
It's
we have close to it in 30 states.
What one is even thankful about is that there is no insurgency and no militias in the Niger Delta as we knew it some 15 years ago. So things are quiet. So you can imagine if there was something happening in the Niger Delta, and then you have all these northern states in trouble. I don't think they're overstretched. I feel like the intelligence gathering and the use of local knowledge is not being properly utilized. I mean, I'm not a security expert, but I know that with local knowledge, that is the core of counterinsurgency. When you use local knowledge, it's not just about you bringing 100 soldiers or 200 soldiers to come to a particular area. You must know the area. There must be local knowledge of what is going on so that you can then relate that to headquarters and be able to take decisive action against.
And before they get there, those guys, because of the very bad nature of the road, you know, a road that normally, a trip that should take 16 minutes, it took us 2 hours. You know, in Kankara local government of Katsina State.
You can't fly there.
You can't. You know, it's not everywhere that you can. You want to put even foot soldiers on ground, so that they can, when these people finish the bombing, you put them on ground, secure the area for some time. But it's difficult to do that. You can't, before you bring your vehicles there, their operations are usually fast. They've done it and they've escaped. Usually they are after kidnapping people. They kidnap the people that they want to kidnap, then they've escaped and they will be asking for a ransom.
All right, we have to drop it there. Yomi Owope, thank you for your contribution today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you on the show.
Okay.
And BKO, it's a new week.
Yeah.
We hope to give our viewers the best of the week.
Yeah.
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch Journalists Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalists Hangout at tvcnews.tv.